and welcome to Happy You Asked, the podcast where we explore a little thing called happiness, one awkward conversation at a time. And I am Erin Clare, your host who is living it up in Massachusetts by working a lot and commuting to work a lot. Woo, woo, party! I'm joined today by Dr. Constance Bailey, who is an assistant professor of African American literature and folklore at Georgia State University. Her research focuses on Black women's expressive culture, African American folklore, and contemporary Black speculative fiction. Her work has appeared in Western Folklore, Mississippi Folk Life magazine, and Meridian's Feminism, Race, and Transnationalism. In addition to editing conversations with, is it Kais? I don't want to say that.
Yeah, Kiese.
Kiese. Oh, I said it wrong. Layman, my apologies, Kiese. Which is forthcoming from the University Press in Mississippi. She is a contributing co-editor to Get It While It's Hot, gas station, roadside, and convenience cuisine in the U.S. South. I love that work. And that will be released in 2026 with LSU Press. In addition to her research, Dr. Bailey regularly reviews articles on humor, Black popular culture, and Black speculative fiction. She's also the CEO and creative director of LIFT, Line Dance Intensive Fitness Training, and she is so much fun to take a class from. I have done that. So welcome to Happy You Asked, Constance.
Woo, yay. Do we have some fake applause? I sound very impressive.
Woo, right? I know. I would not be able to cue it right, and it'd be all screwed up and be like, this is pitiful sounding and looking, girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we could just whoop whoop. So
yeah,
I'm so happy you're here. I always start every out with the same question. What is your definition of happiness?
Oh Lord.
Right? I know. I didn't say it was easy. I just
right. That's what I say. You start with the hard shit. Damn. I should have cheated. And before I go into it, we forgot to say, and we went to grad school together.
We did. We went to the University of Missouri together. Spent many years.
Many years ago. Yeah, damn. I now I really wish I had cheated. Okay, so my definition of happiness, I mean, listen. So here's what I'll say, sort of just I'll make it very subjective, very personal and specific to me. My definition of happiness is nobody nobody having an episode in terms of like it's like just having a regular ass day, which means like meetings and emails and, and Zoom interviews, and it's more. I guess it's closer to contentment, right? And so there's probably nuance, for people who are very particular about words, but I don't require a lot to be happy. So for me, the absence of things that are unpleasant. So no flat tire, no no child sick, no summons from work saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, so for me, happiness is just the absence of things that are unpleasant. And that's really seems like an oversimplification, but that's all I got this morning.
That's fine. There's not like that's a wrong answer, Constance. Take it back.
yeah, I know. I haven't had any caffeine. Like, that's what I got. Like, give me partial credit.
Fine answer. It's a fine answer. Because honestly, that's what most of us feel. Hey, nothing shitty happened today. That's exactly right.
I think I was trying to find a better way to say shitty, but that's exactly what that captures the sentiment. Like, if the bottom didn't fall out of shit today, it is I'm ecstatic. Like, that is
you live long enough, you're like, that is good enough.
That's good enough for me. That is good enough. That is the equivalent of a great day.
What about like the big high ones? Can you think of times like you felt like real happy, like ecstatic, joy?
Like joy, yeah. So so there are usually one of two things, right? It's often connected to bodily physical things. So they could be workouts, where you get all the good serotonin,
endorphins,
and all the good brain chemicals that make you happy. So those are times where I feel great joy. And then the other ones have to do probably sort of points of pride, in terms of like your kid graduated from high school, or I got this
Mhm.
article published, or conversations with KSA Layman, which I said forthcoming when I sent you that description or whatever, but it apparently people have it has shipped. I don't know if they may be pre-order people because
That's real forthcoming.
yeah, I don't have a
Like
copy yet.
today.
So maybe they are pre-order folks, but it's like, oh my gosh, like that was a very much to bring a thing into this world, right? So ideally as a parent, that's your kid, but then as an editor or an author, then that your book is your
We birth those things.
Yep, yep. So those are probably the two things that I most often feel joy
Yeah.
about.
Now, your work, you've done a lot with Black humor,
Mhm.
and I'd love to hear, like, what are some things that you find in Black humor, some trends, some how does this happiness relate to your work?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. And I should probably, just for clarification purposes, in case academics listen to other academics, right? So when we mean
You
black,
do that?
yeah, sometimes if you got a long commute or whatever, um, but so black as in not in dark humor or macabre, but as in
Mhm.
diasporic, right? So African American and African diasporic comedy, which is primarily AFAM women, and then here lately, the tenor of my research has leaned in more to Black women's humor because it's. I mean, so I should say, like academically, I'm an AFAM lit scholar, but I'm also a folklorist. And as a folklorist, I'm really interested in people's customs and their traditions. And so Black women's expressive culture is something that's near and dear to my heart. And so, with that in mind, like some of my earlier research, I think my first published thing was on like Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock, and it was thinking about kind of race and humor, which it didn't necessarily feel heavy, like it felt important. And like early in your academic career, you got to do the shit that you think is important versus the
Mhm.
shit that you sort of love and that speaks to you. And so, as I got older, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna just write about what I want to write about. And so,
Hey, I hear that's how I end up in a podcast. I'm just gonna
right,
do what I want to do,
I just
right?
want to do what I want to do, or and go to the places that allow me to do what the hell I want to do, right? And
Yep.
so, um, so with that in mind, like I think about, and I often give talks, and I leave sort of quotes from my grandma, where they're proverbs, and she'd be like, you got to shit or get off the pot, or you
Yep.
gotta don't take sand to the beach, and those
Mhm.
struck me as very funny. I think of my grandma as a funny person. I think of myself as a very funny person. So if this academic thing don't work out, I could always probably I wouldn't be probably a good stand-up comic, but I do have good timing mostly. And so anyway, so it was just something that I enjoyed doing. Like I enjoyed going to comedy shows and watching comedy. And I was like, well, why can't I write about the shit that I like to do? Like I like to laugh. I like to be happy, right? Those are things that bring me it's the absence of unpleasantness when I'm at a comedy show. So
It's
so
a real bad comedy show. Shit's going down there. You're like, man, that one sucked.
it would really suck. Um, yeah, so at any rate, this is feeling very long and digressive, but all that to say, the more I thought about it and the more I thought about women's traditions and Black women's traditions, and how we express humor, it's not always the same, and it doesn't look the same as other folks' humor and jokes. But I just thought, like, wouldn't it be great to write about women cracking jokes on each other,
Yeah.
or women throwing shade, or whatever it is that nuance that women more broadly and Black women specifically sometimes have, that is sort of like the subtlety of it, right? Which is very funny, and I just appreciated that, and I appreciate I think I don't know if it's my favorite show because it's my favorite show, or if it's just the only show I've seen in the last decade, but like Abbott Elementary really
Mhm.
captures so much nuance of being like a K through 12 educator. And I did that briefly, and I'm like, oh, it captures the trauma and the hilarity of it, right? So I think the reason I gravitated towards humor is this juxtaposition of kind of the tragic and the comic, right? And so what Black folks often say is sort of laughing to keep from crying, right? Is like the expression that we often will use. Um, I think Kevin Hart had a special called "Laugh at My Pain" or something like that. So this idea of like
Mhm.
self-deprecation, but anyway, that contradiction that we hold, even going back, I don't want to be too academic. This is our time to talk shit, but they even thinking about like this Du Boisian notion of double consciousness, like to hold two things in the same body is something that is
Yeah.
very familiar to Black folks. So,
Well,
yeah.
what are some markers of Black women's humor that are different than other types?
So, then again, don't make me the expert now. Don't make me lie. But here's what I would say. Right. So I mean, so the first thing I would say is kind of a reiteration of what I was just talking about, that subtlety or
Right.
that nuance where it's not very overt. Like I don't find, and I should clarify. Like one of my favorite shows, I wrote a piece that analyzes a Black lady sketch show. And HBO sadly did not, or Max, or whatever the name of that, whatever the
Whatever it's
is
called. I don't even, I can't even.
we can't keep up with these things, but
Mhm.
it didn't. I think it had 4 seasons, and it was great. And so
Wait, what was it?
a Black lady sketch show, and
Oh, oh, yes. That was
yeah.
so good.
Yes, yes, it was so good. And so it was very much sketch comedy is different too in different ways, which, we might be able to sort of talk about. But it's not like, so I guess what I'm saying is stand-up comic like a Whoopi Goldberg, or I don't even know, some more, or even
That's
Monique.
what I was thinking. Some more
Yeah.
Monique.
There's a punchline when you're a stand-up comic, and then jokes have, kind of the punchline. And so that's very different from, I think, sketch comedy, right? And so for me,
Mhm.
like thinking about Key and Peele, which was great, or the Chappelle Show, which was
Mhm.
great, versus a Black Lady sketch show is also great, but in different ways. And so one of the things that happens is, again, you have a little bit more nuance, a little more subtlety, and there's a lot more. And when I say in-group humor, shit that's just for, specific to Black women. So there might be jokes about hair or about raising our kids. And so what happens there is, I think, this sort of goes back to, and I connect a lot of things to literary debates because I'm, a lit scholar, but it sort of goes back to that schism between Zora and um, Richard Wright, and
Uh,
um, where part of the critique for Wright, and I think Ellison and some other, folks, was that Hurston wasn't political enough, right? And that she should be,
Oh, yeah,
addressing
yeah.
issues of race. And it's as if saying, Black women's lives, in terms of dealing with the interiority of Black women's lives, isn't why isn't that political? Why can't we talk about issues that are relevant to Black women, and have that be, and we don't necessarily always have to be dealing with this external mechanism of like systemic racism. And so for me, I often find like one of my favorite skits from a Black lady or characters maybe from a Black lady sketch show is I doctor something, and it's a really long and convoluted name, and it's like an Afrocentric name, and so it's essentially like it's a play on the idea of a hotep, which,
Mhm.
someone who's very much kind of invested in Egyptian and Nubian iconography. They usually have Ankh, they usually have, they've changed their name, and so she's a Hertep, right? It's sort of the running joke, and so she has like all of these fictional degrees, and it becomes this really, there's some in-group humor, like you kind of have to get the cultural phenomena of a hotep, which most Black folks will know. But then, even specifically within that, there are some ideas of sort of about Black women, in terms of like, oh gosh, she's dating this guy who's kind of trash, or who's whatever. It's like, so things that I think are sort of peculiar to us. So yeah, I would, yeah, if I had to say, other than kind of, again, maybe more commonly among Black comics, this use of, Black vernacular expressions. So using the language of the folks,
Mhm.
being, kind of subtle, throwing shade, as I like to say. And then I think just sometimes it kind of an in-group thing. I think jokes about, or humor around motherhood, parenting, being a Black mom, hair care, not being able to get our hair wet, things that are, again, very specific to our experiences. So, off the top of my head, because I definitely didn't know where this conversation was going.
No, well,
Those are
neither did I, or I would have prepped you, but I
right.
just
So, those are some things that I would say,
no,
and
but
again,
that makes
don't
a lot
make
of
me be
sense
the
because
expert.
like, if you look at Zora and Ellis and that whole debate, and then look at like Chappelle, who's going to be hit much harder politically
Mhm.
than a lot of the Black women comics, and you see that. So it's going to look a lot differently. Though honestly, my favorite sketch of all time that I watch just to make myself happy is Chappelle's Prince,
Oh, yes. Oh, of
the
course.
the basketball with his brother. Oh my God, every time, every time that brings me such joy. That's
As
good.
as well it should, right? As well it should. No, it really, really should because we heart Prince, right? We still need to bring back that themed. I shouldn't. I didn't retire it. After I had some of the physical stuff that put me in the pseudo retirement. I didn't do it, but we absolutely have to bring back the themed barbell or whatever class we
Oh,
was that had all
please do.
the Prince music. Yeah, we gotta bring it.
Prince Kettle Bar. Yes, I need that in my life. You can all join us. I will make Dr. Bailey do this again because that shit is fun. You just
It's
zoom in your house with some kettlebells to
Oh
some
my gosh.
Prince.
Yeah, and some Prince. That was the best darn thing. I can't wait to get back to it.
That's exactly right. Um, so what about as an academic? Do you think, I'm just coming up with it, do you think it's harder or easier for academics to be happy?
Damn. You know what? So, great question. You know what? Here's what I would say. I think that this is pure speculation because I'm not a career academic in a lot of ways. I am, but I'm not.
You are too? Why are you lying to yourself?
Well, okay. I was saying I am, but I'm not. So it's like I am now, but I think because
I'm not a career academic, just for my career. What the?
because I took the scenic route to my to my degrees and took some time to do, like teach K-12, be a blackjack dealer, work at like retail store, like doing like regular people shit. Like so
Mhm.
I haven't only done academic jobs. Let me say it like
Okay.
that. Let me
Okay.
say that. I think it's easier for me to be happy because I recognize it's almost like when we say like that's a first world problem, right? I
Yeah.
recognize that like there is some academic bullshit for sure. And we are absolutely as in the humanities overworked and undercompensated. So that is a 1000%, reality. And if anybody were to, express whatever because of that, then that makes absolute sense. And if you've never had any experience outside of the academy, that's a valid, absolute grievance. And I will say, as a tangent, like reimbursement culture in academia is ghetto as hell. Like industry folks get a damn card, they
You
put that
don't
shit
even know.
on the on company card. So that alone is enough to be like, man, fuck this shit. Like it's
Well,
so
100, yeah. They're like, no, you want compensation for the work? Oh, no.
right. So I get it, but because I have, come from such a working class background, have done so many working class type of side things on my career path, I recognize that shit could be so much worse. And so
I'm not working in a mine, perspective, right? It's
right.
not that bad of a job.
It's not that bad of I mean, and we can think, sort of relative to the amount of time it took to get the degree. Like people will say to me, like, "Oh my God, you were in school forever. You should be making more money." But it's like one, I'm doing what I love. I get to write about
Mhm.
things I'm passionate about. I get to mold young mind, whatever that. I mean, I'm now like molding people's AI generated papers or whatever. But like,
I
but
get to mold people's AI.
right. But you know, I get and I don't want to, like here's what my mom thinks I do. They have that meme like here's what my friends think I do. Here's what people, So it's like I know I don't have summers off, and other academics know we don't have summers off. But in theory, I'm not working in a mine. I'm not out, laying pavement. I'm not
Right?
building houses. And so, again, I said this before in I don't even remember what the piece was. I think it was from Women in Higher Ed or something, but it was about sort of my mom as a person who did tactile work her whole career, not really understanding, like when I'm in meetings and I'm at the computer and at the desk, and especially when I'm doing like working with a cohort, or we have a writing cohort and I'm on the computer, she's thinking like, "Oh, you're not working, like you're socializing with
Okay.
your friends," and I'm like, no, this is some of where the ideas that, are gonna eventually come to fruition and are in the book, this is where they're fleshed out. This is where the writing occur. Like this is the work. Like it's sitting at the day I'm dead. Like I'm sorry, it doesn't look like work.
It's not just your mom. My mom, I love you, mom. I know she's going to listen to this. Mom, same thing. Just
Yeah,
because I'm not in the office physically doesn't mean I'm not working.
not working.
If
Yeah,
that computer's open, I'm working.
yeah. So that is the thing that is sort of hard to translate. And so because I recognize that there are different types of work and I find value in all of them, as much as I know that that we, especially sort of in academia, get the humanities folks, we just are at the scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Right, right.
but
You're
but
still
I can
around? Y'all
right,
still
yeah,
do this? You still talk about books?
right, exactly. Y'all still read books, like what?
Right?
But I also recognize like I'm not contingent faculty. I'm not teaching 5 classes to try to so I just try.
No health insurance.
Exactly. So I just try to keep that in perspective. But I do think, yeah, if you've gone kind of straight through, you've been a traditional academic, you haven't had a break, and you get out and this is your reward, it probably feels like, well, goddamn, you know what I mean? Like, and and the other thing is if you're too much on, I don't think we have this problem because I think we're both Gen X, but I have folks who get academic friends who can get like what is the thing where you get like jealous where other people not jealous but like you feel like you haven't done enough because if you see your friends posting shit like all the time
Mhm,
and I try and I've got so much real shit like kids
mhm.
with diagnoses and homework and other shit that I don't spend that much time on social media so I don't get by and also I'm like oh my gosh I'm happy that I know all these awesome ass people like I'm just trying to I don't f I know that for some folks, it is depressing or intimidating for them. For
Mm.
me, I find it to be inspiring and motivating, but that's also
Yeah.
the way my sort of brain works.
Well, I think that also is a Gen X thing too. You're right. Like to be like, well, I'm doing fine. Good for that person, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't get the sort of jealousy or feel like I'm not doing enough because I'm doing plenty. I don't have energy to do more. And if I did, I'd do it. But I'd rather take a nap at this point in my life. I have done plenty. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine,
Yeah, I
exactly.
feel that. Um, Speaking of that, I know that there was like especially with comedy and African American culture, there's talk a lot like what trends on Black Twitter, right,
Mm.
as a sort of vehicle. But Black Twitter's gone, so where does that trend since Twitter went to hell?
And so I will say, I honestly don't know, and that's a good question for. There's a guy whose scholarship I really really love. Actually, let's tag all these people that we name drop so our SEO can be up. Like, um, but Andre Brock's work with like Black cyber cultures, and which was specifically about and kind of Black Twitter and the phenomenon that it was. That was sort of my go-to for thinking about like communications issues, and because I do write sometimes about those things and I do wonder like and it's almost a thing um where I should if I were willing to go back to Twitter to tag like because I think he may still
Mm-mm.
yeah I know I
That
can't
place is icky.
it's
Mm.
yes successful exactly so because I would love to say I mean maybe I need to just find his personal email and be like hey where are the Black Twitter folks
Is
to
it?
go
Are they on TikTok? I
I
think.
suspect that a lot. So I would say probably yes. So what I first thought was that like it was like the Great Migration, right? Literally like the
Yeah.
Great Migration. Oh, that might be a good piece for an article. But anyway,
Right. That
I
is a good.
thought
Don't steal it. Constance Bailey said it first. The Great
that's right.
Migration from
That's right.
Twitter.
Yes. So I thought all the people were going to blue sky. So that's where I scurried over to because I was like, okay, it's got something winged and it's flying and it's blue. So it's like this is the kind of clear. path. But then, and I don't know because Black Twitter is such a, oh my gosh, it's such a it was, or such a cultural phenomenon, in part
Mm.
because of humor and sort of the way that it was intertextual and playing off of all of these things. And so I assumed that Blue Sky would be that space, but it was almost too sanitized. You know what I mean? It was too nice.
Yeah.
Now, someone did say it started to get a little trashy over there too. I don't know because I don't post enough. But I think the people might be on TikTok, but they're not, you can't really engage in the same way.
No, you can't.
But now one of the things I will say, even though we sort of hate, like we may we may not like what kind of Meta and Zuckerberg represents, but one of the things that they do well, and which is why they end up kind of co-opting these other platforms and absorbing them, is taking the innovations that other platforms have done and sort of folding them into their thing. And so I even noticed as recently as yesterday, like whenever I wanted to share political things on Instagram, I would have to like share it to my story, which is not a way that people always consume things versus their feed. So now I see when some of the folks that I am really a fan of and that I like to share their kind of news commentary, I can now repost. And
Oh,
so,
yeah. That was a big thing to not have that.
yep. And so, um, I do think that, and then also then they came up with Threads, which I was very resistant to because I'm like, I
I'm
don't
still
want to.
not on there. I can't. I just feel so old.
Well,
I'm like,
well, here's the thing, and this is why I say this is sort of the brilliance of it. It's so like you hate it. It's like a love hate thing, right? I was
mhm.
resistant to it. I was resistant to it. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I'm too old. I can't keep up with the shit. But the way that they sort of reeled you in, especially for those of us who are, potentially marketing things or engaging with certain communities, the simplicity of it, because I can read like when I post things, like if I ever get my copy of Conversation with Kat, everybody got one but me. I will post and I will post unilaterally because I will just post it to Instagram, but then it will push to my Facebook and to my Threads. So the convenience by which, like it was like create this account. I was like, I'm not setting up shit, but I was just one click. I was like, oh well, fuck it, I'll create it because it was just one click. And there are potentially folks who because of its similarity to Twitter use that. Um, so I do wonder. I need to probably follow up on Brock's research to see what.
I was thinking about this too because it's so diversified now. Our social media as compared to what it used to be. Like my Marcom team at my college is like, Aaron, we need you to use LinkedIn for the good of the college, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't wanna. Oh,
Yep. Yep.
so
One of my
gross.
one of my grad students was saying, Dr. Bailey, it's a very similar thing, right? The college didn't say it, but it was like, you're better than some of your colleagues. I have talked to them, like, and they are just, abysmal. You do a little bit better, but like you haven't posted to your LinkedIn in like 6 months or something. And I'm like, God damn, and so I don't know if they probably still have like Hootsuite or one of those things where you can like push to all your socials. That probably will be a thing that I should do as colleges, as not just colleges, but as people are trying to build their brand, I guess, that way, which is really a thing I think for academics in terms of monetizing our talent. Like we're not whatever who's the generation that like digital technology is native to? Is that Gen Z or is it millennial?
Yeah, Gen Z. They're
Gen
the natives. Millennials didn't have all of it. Gen
Okay.
Z, they know it.
They know, yeah. So it's not something that's like where we're gonna figure out like, oh my gosh, all we have to do is post on TikTok at 6 p.m. because that time is strategic and we can
Oh, I just
monetize our,
can't. I
like
can't.
we're just, that will make our head
Oh,
explode. But but if we can find one thing, one of these little platforms that's like post this shit and it's gonna post to your social, like then maybe that will be the thing that kind of keeps us. I don't know.
what I need to do at this point in my life, I think, is I need somebody who does the shit for me because I do not care. But
Yeah,
I don't have that type of money. So
no,
I need someone
absolutely.
to do it for free.
Exactly. That is correct. Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm telling you, I was just talking to a friend about, we were talking about this group fitness, thing, franchise thing or whatever, not franchise, but business. And I was like, maybe we should, since we're still early enough and haven't done all of the legal stuff, maybe we should shift to nonprofit because, wellness is still the same initiative. And then we could get like, can we get grant money to hire somebody? Because at first I was like, now I could see the utility of this on Twitch because all the aunties are already on TikTok and Instagram, but there's this untapped market. But I'm not gonna learn Twitch. I refuse because then to learn Twitch, you got to learn Discord. Like I'm not
No,
doing
no, no, I can't. The minute the people start talking about Discord, I'm like, I'm peace out. Whatever you're
that.
talking about,
No,
I can't do it. I
no.
just
Listen,
can't.
I had a couple podcasts that I was really, really invested in, and they were like, join our Discord. And I was like, let me just see. And then as soon as I went that shit, I was like, no, no.
My kid showed me once, and I was like, that's too much. That's too
It's
much for
too
my
much.
brain. I need to
And
put it away.
it's too much. And the ladies that I really liked, they were like late 30. They were almost as old as me. And I'm like, how do they know
Right? It hurts. There's
shit?
this moment in my life that happened where my brain's like, you can't do that, Aaron. You can't.
Girl, listen, I was like, that could be like, they could be like, this podcast will like say shave 5 years off your life, or this platform if you learn how to use. And I was like, fuck it, I just can't.
Yeah, no, I'm with the do not care club, right? I do not care about Discord. I cannot care.
I just don't have the bandwidth. And at some point we have to just acknowledge, like, here's the thing, and here's our lane. And even as academics, like we have like that. Whoever's on Discord, those are not my people.
Yeah, they're not my people. They're just not gonna know me, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay
Right.
with all sorts of things like that now. I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah, I
It's
can't.
just too much because I think about this, one of the only things I do for fun is I go to concerts, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And there's such a big divide between like millennials, Gen X, and then Gen Z. The Gen Z, how many selfies do they need? They will spend the whole opening act just taking selfies. We're talking hundreds of selfies. And I'm like, what the actual fuck are you doing? Like, there is a person up there performing and you are still looking at your damn self for
Yeah, that
what?
you paid money for, or somebody paid, but I think you're missing this experience. I tell you, I shit you not, because one of my kids is a Gen Zer, I guess. But I'm like, you can't just like ridicule. You can't just be like, what the F is wrong with you? But sometimes when my daughter, like the school day has started and it's like, there's no storage in any device. You just got the device like 2 weeks ago because you've taken 500 selfie. And I'm thinking, now you're a pretty girl, but you ain't that damn cute. Like, why? Like, is this like the damn what is it? The picture, what is the thing on Dorian Gray? I'm trying to think, like, have you gotten like like, what is happening here? Like, is this some kind of weird like narcissism complex? But it's
Yeah, I
all
don't
of them.
understand why they're doing it. Like, why are they doing it?
I
I
don't
don't get it.
understand.
I'm sure it's serving something culturally, but I am this in the old lady place where I'm like, I don't understand why you're taking so many. What? Take one, two, get a good one, be done. Watch the show. Talk about some other shit. Bitch about the temperature. That's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, no, that's
I
true.
don't get it at all.
That is true.
So, um, what are some things like that you do to be happy? Some practices you have, habits, shit like that. What do you do when you're unhappy? What makes you happy?
Yeah. Listen, I think my superpower, one of many, I should say, but my most impressive one is again this amazing appeal. Like, it takes very little to make me happy, happy, happy. But so again, small things bring me joy. My morning cup of tea.
Mhm.
I think we drank too much. Were you brewing carafes of coffee in Tate Hall with me and Naima? I drank too much
Yes.
coffee, and so I
Oh,
have.
I drank at grad school.
Yeah,
That was like lethal levels
yeah,
of
yeah.
coffee.
And so I don't know if I have developed a caffeine sensitivity or not, but I have to have some caffeine to start my day, or I'll be fucking crazy. But I can't really have, like, I don't do coffee anymore. So like I'll steep my Earl Grey in the morning. I'll put a little agave in there, and if I can just sit and have some tea, that brings me great joy.
Same. You know what? It's same thing. I don't know if it's aging or whatever, but I mean, when we were in grad school, I might have burned a hole in my esophagus from the amount of like we would drink some Turkish coffee like it was nothing, just like grains go down.
Yeah,
This stuff was
yeah,
strong as hell. Now
raw.
I'm like, I have like a half a cup of regular coffee in the
Mm.
morning, and that's it. I'm done. The rest is tea,
Oh
or
yeah.
I'll be in pain.
No, for sure. So yeah, my morning caffeine, my obligatory tea brings me joy. Doing actually so group fitness is interesting. I've missed it so much. I think that I enjoyed taking classes when I was a student for sure. But I think because I'm an educator at my core, you know what I mean? That I'm a teacher. I think I really like enjoy like creating classes and curating playlists
100%.
because I love music, and it's also like, how can I get other people to like appreciate this experience? And so somebody was like, what is like, is your ADHD medicine, like working with when I was like, I'm creating this business, they were like, why are you always doing this shit? And I was like, it's not that I'm always starting businesses. It's not. I said, no, it seems like that. But it's like there are all these ideas and they have to go somewhere, and not everything can be like a book or not everything can be an
Mhm.
article. And so that becomes a sort of tangible, you know, I don't want to say tactile, but I'll just use that. Well, it's a kinesthetic expression of my
Yes.
creative. So, that again brings me great joy to kind of work on uh, you know, group fitness stuff. So that makes
You're
me
preaching to the choir there. People say the
yeah,
same
I
thing to me.
am.
Why do you teach all this yoga? And it's like, because it makes me happy.
It
I mean,
makes me
it's
happy.
yeah,
Yeah. And
it is a type of outlet, creative outlet, and expression that can't find a place in my daily work, and I
mhm.
love it. And it is teaching because, like you, at core, that brings me so much joy to give that joyful feeling I get to others and show
Yes,
them. Yeah, it's
exactly.
not work.
And you have amazing playlists too. And that shit is hard. Now I tend to think all yoga is hard, but but especially yeah.
No, I really do the hardest yoga. It's like, because there's nothing harder than moving slowly. Oh, I mean that it hurts. I
Yeah.
just came back from a week of doing it straight, and I questioned my own sanity many, many times. Like, how is this your vacation, lady?
Right. Exactly, exactly. I don't like, and I do wonder if I'm a control freak because I'm not really a like vacation. I remember not too long ago a guy that I was dating, and we didn't work well just because of I think our views on life because he was like, "What do you mean you're on vacation? You're still doing shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't not do shit. Like I work hard so that I can play hard. So even my downtime is going to concerts or museums or
$100%.
it's still planned structured shit. Like I don't necessarily know that I have a like I can relax and will relax and watch movies. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this will be great for
I
such
gotta do this and this and this, and I
yeah,
wanna go here and I wanna see that thing.
yeah,
100%. I'm the same way. Every day I wanna do something, accomplish something, even if that accomplishing to me is like seeing some art. That's an accomplishment. I educated myself that day. And then
yeah.
I'll take some time in the evening to do fuck all, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's always something, so but yeah, music, make I think some things that make me happy make other, like every day everybody happy. But like live music venues are great, like those
Mm.
that, and bookstores make me happy,
Oh,
and
yes.
so
Oh,
it's real
show me a crystal shop, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah."
yeah, so I feel like I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of academics have a lot of the same shit that kind of gonna make me
We do.
like,
We do great on vacation, know everybody else though, but we're like, "We're gonna go to this crystal shop, museum, the bookstore, then a concert, and then when you gonna relax?" When I'm done doing that.
right. So yeah, I think that's I mean, I like to traveling makes me happy, but it's also too much anxiety with traveling. Like
Amen.
it's not just unfed, like there's shit, like especially you gotta fly out of damn
Oh,
Atlanta. So it's like
oh, yes. God,
that almost
I
negates
went
some else
through
traveling.
I'm always flying through Atlanta, right? Always, because that's
Mhm.
Boston. I got 2 choices on Delta.
Right.
LaGuardia, nobody wants to go through there right now, and Atlanta. And I went to Atlanta with my eldest, like, for the first time where I got off and, like, left the airport. That security getting back into Atlanta, I was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" that was like clear pre-check, took 25 minutes.
Oh, no,
It
I
was
was
a
gonna say,
damn
I don't have
mess.
any clue why I even fucking have pre-check, and I may not, like, I had it when I was in Arkansas, but now it's almost time to renew, and I'm like, I don't know that it makes any sense to me. It seems
No.
like it's just as long as the
Right? Atlanta's a damn mess with that.
and sometimes the pre-check is called. I had a late flight once, and it was like, I think it was like 9 something, it was like, "Pre-check is called." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Right? No, when I land in Little Rock, if it's after 8, there's nothing open. There's just, like, tumbleweeds going down to the airport. People
Yeah.
are like, "We're closed."
No, so Atlanta is, but it's, as you know, like a world unto it's just a strange
I
place.
know every single restaurant in that whole place. That's how often I've been to Atlanta.
That is too funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I think the little things make me happy. That feels so cliche, but that's what I'm gonna say. Like,
No, go with it. Go
yeah.
with it. It's if it's true, it's true.
Mhm.
Now, say, okay, if you could design a society that for optimal happiness for all, what are
Mm,
some things it would look like?
mm.
What would it have?
Octavia Butler has this great story called The Book of Martha. I don't know if you know it, but it's in her collection of stories called Bloodchild. And she's similarly tasked, right, with creating sort of a utopia, like what would that look like and how would you accomplish it? And there are all these kind of scenarios, and Martha's like, well, maybe this, and then no, because that would cause this problem, and then maybe this, and then that would cause this problem. And so I think she finally landed on something like, I'd have people like their dreams or something like sleep, would be the time, would be like whatever. And so I wanna steal some of that, because I think, it's
Well,
almost.
utopias work out great. They always have.
Of course they do. Yeah, of course they do. I
Not a
mean,
one. Not a one.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, I mean, in my fictional, uh, you know, uh, construct where people would be happy, right? That's what we're trying
Yeah.
to create. Yeah.
Yeah. Society.
But
The happiness is the
yeah,
goal.
exactly. It would be where I feel like it would be. I was gonna say it'd be anti-capitalist. I don't know that that's true. I think it would be where people would not have, like this sort of drive to this kind of structure, 40, 50 hour work week. I think if people were able to self-select, it'd be almost like, I think I just watched too much sci-fi, but it would be like a caste system, not in the sense of like hierarchy, but in terms of skills or in terms of things that you
Mhm.
like. So like if you were a person who was an educator, you would have, like this, I don't know, it'd be kind of woo woo almost, but it would be like basically you could do the things that you wanted to do and you could be paid for that thing so that people could cultivate their talents and
The
not.
crazy. You do the things you want to do and get paid for them.
Right, I know that, like, no, people's head would explode, exactly. And so, um, yeah, and you would be compensated and compensated well to some degree, um, so that people could not feel this pull, right? Whereas I don't necessarily mind, because again, it might be just unchecked ADHD. I don't necessarily mind my, kind of work and then all these other side things that make me happy, because in some ways the work, it makes me happy, right? Being productive
Mhm.
makes me happy, and being busy is a part of sort of my nature. But you shouldn't necessarily have to have your main gig and then other 50,000 other things. Like if you love books and tea, you should just be able to have a fucking book and tea shop
Bookshop. Doesn't
and
that sound
do
nice?
and do that
Don't
thing.
get me started. If I had money, I'd have a book, tea, yoga,
Yes,
crystal
you
shop.
would, and that's what it would be. And it could be, now again, these are all very crazy ass, because I don't know how, any sort of government or economy would function and, support all of these various initiatives. But I'll bet they're
That's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you to figure out the
right.
government.
Yeah,
We
you
don't
don't
need
have
to.
to
Someone
figure
will
it
do
out. You don't
that.
have to execute, but it'd be like where people could do the things, their own individual things that make them happy and be compensated. Because I do really feel that the sort of American drive, like overwork. We have a culture of overwork, and there's a great book. I think it's the Nap Ministry or something like that. But I just tell people all the time, even though I don't necessarily do it, but like rest is revolutionary, like that you should rest. That you
Mhm.
don't have to always be doing the things. And we are really conditioned in academia and in the kind of the traditional US workforce to feel like productivity. Why aren't you doing this? When at this deadline?
Yeah.
And I think that that stresses people out. It contributes to all these kind of lifestyle conditions like hypertension. And I just think that yeah, people should be able to have more downtime, or their work should be able to align with their interests in a more strategic way so that they
Yes, and so we're not just going picking careers based on the amount of money, but also what our passions are and what our talents are,
are
and
yeah,
to be able to make a living with that and have, when we
exactly.
get sick, have healthcare to take care of it, that types of thing.
Mhm.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We're actually coming towards the end of our time, if you can believe that, Constance.
Oh, no, I can't, because it's shooting the shit is always good.
I only have 2 more questions.
Mhm.
1, what is one of your favorite songs to put on the Happy You Ass playlist? You can get up to 2, no more than 2, 1 or 2 songs to put
Mm,
on this playlist.
mhm. Okay. Wait, this is the next to the last question. It's not a two-part question, right?
So
This is
it's next to the last.
okay,
This is
gotcha.
a question onto its own.
Oh my gosh, you are so wrong for this. Okay. Um,
I started to
so
end with like 2 of the hardest questions. Pick 1 or 2 songs, and then what is happiness?
gosh, okay. Man, you're killing me with this. Okay, so I'm gonna say the song itself is not necessarily happy at all, actually, but it's just one of my favorite songs, and so it makes me
That's
happy.
good enough.
So Bonnie Raitt's "I Can't Make You Love Me."
Hmm.
It's my absolute favorite song, hands down. And but there are also really great, like, so I have a playlist where I like many with a lot of different versions of it. So there's a
Mhm.
Prince version that I like. There's a George Michael version that I like. There's a lot of covers of the song. Bonnie Raitt's is the best, but um that
Awesome.
song makes me very happy just because it's just like the musicality of, I don't know, just like
It's beautiful song.
it's an amazing song. Um
It's freaking sad as hell, though.
it is. It's sad as hell. It is. I concede that. But yeah. So and then I'm trying to think of, dang it.
If you don't put a Prince song,
No,
I
you what that's the thing. So here's what I'm gonna say actually. The lyrics of it make it a little bit kind of, it's not really sad, but the tempo of, like, it's my sort of go-to, like it used to be on my running mix. So it's "I Would Die for You." So
oh, I love that song, actually. I love that song.
and so
Do
yeah,
you do
so
that wait, what was it? Was it "I would die
die
over there,
for
you"?
you. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, when I was young, it came out, the hand motions to go with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Um,
Yes, I love it.
so
I
it's just
remember doing
like
that as a wee baby,
the
singing that.
yeah, I mean, like, it's just a great and the tempo of it is great for all kinds of upbeat shit. I just love that song. So that's one of my, I mean, there are so many Prince songs, but it makes me happy. The tempo of it just makes me, like,
Those will go on there, those are good choices. Last question, do you have any final thoughts on happiness?
final thoughts. You know what? I think that people should chase their happiness aggressively. I think that people should pursue their passions and do the things that make them happy, especially in their big old ages of if you grown, right? And you pay your own bills, like, you should not do the things that don't make you happy. And I think so many of us, because of our either our southernness or our Christianness or our whateverness, right, have been conditioned to accept things or to not question things or to do things that are counterintuitive to that don't make us happy. And I just am not, I'd like to say I rebuke that. So
I love that, I love that, aggressively pursue it.
yeah.
That's how I ended up in Massachusetts.
Yeah, for real, real. So yeah, that's the thing. I think that sometimes I volunteer at my church and people are like, "Girl, you be doing," and I don't do it. I do it because I want to. I don't feel like I have to, and when I feel like I don't want to, I don't do it. Like, I just do
Amen,
it.
amen, preach it.
So yeah,
Constance, it is always an absolute joy to talk to you. Always.
of
I
course.
love it, and I'm honored to be in your presence once again.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on. I'll give you all the socials or whatever to put on the, I
Please
don't
do,
know.
please do. Yep,
Yes.
I can put them all.
Yes.
And thank you everyone for listening. Reach out with any thoughts, ideas, comments, and I appreciate you. Till next
Yeah.
time,
All
Constance.
right. See you soon.
Bye.